And welcome into a Thursday edition of the Backstage Pass. Hard to believe the first week of March is almost in the books. Presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Check them out, easyliquor.com or bangtail.com. Of course, easyliquor.com, the place to get the bottle sent directly to your door. Some great whiskey, 90 proof, handcrafted out of Orlando, Florida. And our good friends at MitchMacs.com and Hank Jr. Productions. Brandon Morrell back here with the great Jeff McMahon here on the program. Great week of CRS. Last week we'll be putting out some great video from a lot of the great interviews we captured over the next few weeks here in the month of March, because March 17th to 27th, no shows here on the Backstage Pass. We take a little break from the live shows. But pleased to welcome in one of the best songwriters, one of the best singers, and a guy I have the utmost respect for in country music, Craig Campbell, to the show. Craig, what's up, man?
Well, not much, guys. How are y'all?
Oh, man, we're just hanging in there, like I said, one day at a time. And I was kind of believe that's first week of March is almost over, and we're getting ready to talk about the second week and then spring break for people and coming up on April. You guys have stayed busy, Craig, and just out of the box, I'm going to get right at it. The single, By God, is starting to make some noise, and I see you guys put it out the 25th last week of February, and just kind of talk about this and this project and how excited you guys are to, again, get new music in the hands of your fans.
Well, I mean, you know, we had I've been 100% independent for the past I guess 2 years now, and the one problem I always had with my record label was they didn't put out music fast enough. I mean, they were always focused on radio, and then so historically for me, all of my songs took, you know, a year, one song at a time, and I was just like, you know what, my fans. I mean, I got all this music. Why are we keeping it? Why are we keeping it to ourselves? So the first thing I did, man, I made a commitment to just keep putting music out, and you know, that's what we've been doing. And my most recent release, By God, I wrote at the end of 2020 with some friends of mine. We wrote it over a Zoom call, just almost like this. And my co-writer Jordan Walker, he had the idea By God, and I say By God all the time. So when he said it, I immediately gravitated towards it because it's part of my everyday language. But then I knew exactly where he was going to go with it, and I said, "Yeah, let's write that." And I feel like we wrote a banging song, and we went in and tracked it, and I couldn't wait to put it out.
You know, you've got a lot of, and what I love about the sound, Craig, is so many years of putting out so many great songs, from Family Man to my favorite, which was Fish, no doubt about it, which is one of the best ones to sing. And, of course, Outskirts of Heaven, Keep Them Kisses Coming. That traditional sound has stayed true to you for a long time. Like you said, you know, very independent last couple of years. And I love the fact that some of that traditional country, and talking to people in Nashville last week, is starting to make a little bit of a comeback, depending on which artist you talk to and what their focus of their sound is. But you've always stayed true to those roots, and man, it really has paid off for you, no doubt.
Man, I can't do anything else. I mean,
yeah.
I get that a lot. People say, "Man, you just," I mean, you know, we appreciate you sticking to your guns. You know, when it's easy to be in your lane, and you look over and in somebody else's lane, and they're crushing it, and they're having big number ones, and they're selling out 15,000 seat arenas, but their music is more pop sounded, and I'm like, well, maybe if I just do something like that, I could get some of that. But I never could pull that trigger. I said, at the end of the day, I need to lay down at night knowing that I put music out that makes me proud, music that I want to sing for the rest of my life, music that makes my wife and my kids happy. And that's just what I've always done. So, I mean, there's really no other way for me to do it or to put music out.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. Hey, tell me about and one in particular that really sticks with a lot of fans is the Outskirts of Heaven, and I think a lot of people, man, just really can resonate to that, especially just again, traditional country, the sounding. Who did you write that with? And that's just a song to me that will live on as a timeless classic, no doubt.
I read that with Dave Turnbull, and I had that idea for a long time, but I knew I wanted to write it with Dave. And matter of fact, I saw Dave in Chattanooga one night, and I told him about it, and he said, "Yeah, let's write it." So a few months passed, and we got together, and I said, "Hey, you remember that idea I threw out at you?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, here's what I want this song to say." I said, "I just need you to help me say it." And man, it took us about 2 hours, and it was one of those songs too that when we were done, we looked at each other and we kind of just gave us that high five because we knew we'd written a good song, and that's not always the case, but it's just that song we knew was special as soon as we wrote it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no
You
doubt.
know, I mean, I've known of your music since you started, but and being in Nashville, just banging around as a musician. But I remember vividly the first time I heard Outskirts of Heaven, and you know, knew your music, but Outskirts of Heaven was a whole new introduction for me to a lot of your stuff. And I know that you know, you talk about kind of sticking with root, but one of the things that I liked about that song was that it still felt I guess authentic to you. And even when I look at kind of the other side gigs that you've been involved in over the last year, it all kind of revolves around, even before that, one of the songs that I liked was is it That's Why God Made a Front Porch, right? And because that has threads of that same kind of regular same value system, same place
Right.
that you live in, right?
Yeah. And that's, you know, and that's what I want people to know about me. I don't want there to be any questions. And that's what we do when we're writing songs or when we're putting songs out. It's like, hey, what can I put out? What kind of music can I do that'll tell a little bit more of my story? I'm proud to say that if you are familiar with my music, you know that I am a God-loving man, and you know, my family means the world to me, and I feel like that. I feel like if you listen to any, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 of my songs, you'll figure that out right away, and I'm proud of that.
You know, of all the greats you've worked with in the business, you know, like I said, Luke Bryan, of course, see his career take off and do what he's doing. It's amazing, this new wave of talent. This Luke Combs, this Ashley McBride, and all these great singers that are on the award shows now. It's still a great sound. I love the town. I love the songs. I love the music. And I want to say this too, Craig, man, Nashville is about as strong as it's ever been when it comes to some of the great artists that are out there doing their thing. And I think that's just a credit to great songwriters and great, you know, people that kind of are in the industry, the conversations we have, radio, things like that. A little bit of collection of everything. What's your kind of status of the overall Nashville sound as it is right now?
I'm in it. I know I've seen behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a little bit of I know what really goes on, but yeah, as far as Luke and Combs and the Ashley McBride and John Party and all those guys, I mean, they are definitely themselves, and that's something that I get excited about, that they can go into the office at their record label and say, hey, here's what I'm doing, and that's it. No questions asked. You know, a lot of times as a new artist, you have to play by the record label rules of, even if you have music that you're proud of and you're excited about, if they don't like it, then you're not gonna, it'll never see the light of day. But good for those guys to be able to do what they want to do and be successful at it.
Well, no doubt. Well, again, the single is By God. It's out there across all the digital platforms or wherever you download music, so be sure to go check that out. Craig, let's tune one up here on the program. Let's have you play one for us here on the Backstage Pass, Guitar Close By. And I always say you got, as Jeff said, a whole collection of them. You could pick anyone at random, but they'd be good, no doubt about it. So I always say dealer's choice.
Yep. This is, I mean, I guess we can do By God, huh?
Let's do that. That'll work. Yes, sir.
All right.
Here we go.
Here's the new one called By God. Woke up to the smell of bacon. Through the curtain saw the sun breaking. Opened them up to the sky being painted by God. I stood there and took a long look up where the man said the rain could come. But it sure looks like a good one by God. It sure looks like a good one. With just a bunch of Monday to Friday working, raising hell on Saturday and Sunday churching. Need the last amen by 1:45, cause kickoffs at 12 o'clock. Just some back road riding, riverbank sitting, horseback flying, cold beer sipping. That's just life when you're small town living. Doing all right with all we've been given by God. Ride shotgun, here you get the gate. Wearing cotton anywhere you go with things. And you can take that all the way to the local bank, by God. I got some land here in Middle Tennessee. Got a dog that can track anything. And a woman I swear was sent to me, by God. Yes, she was. Just a bunch of Monday to Friday work and raising hell on Saturday and Sunday churching. Need the last amen by 1:45. Cause kickoff's at 12 o'clock. Just some back road riding, riverbank sitting, porch flag flying, cold beer sipping. That's just life in your small town living. Doing all right when only been given by God. Yeah. Yeah, I keep my King James in the King Ranch, knees down, head bowed to count all my blessings. Cause Mama told me the only way I was gonna get to heaven was by God. Amen. We're just a bunch of Monday to Friday work and raising hell on Saturday and Sunday church. We need a last amen by 1:45. Cause kickoff's at 12 o'clock. Just a back road riding, riverbank sitting, porch flag flying, cold beer sipping. That's just life in your small town living. Doing all right with all we've been given by God. Can I get an amen? Amen.
I'll give you an amen for that too, no doubt. It's Craig Campbell here on the Backstage Pass, again presented by Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMacs.com, and Hank Jr. Productions. Back here, Jeff McMahon on the show with yours truly, and I love the writing. I think one of my favorite lyrics in it, Craig, before we take a break for our sponsors, there was no doubt kickoffs at 12 o'clock. Being a football fan, I think that was catchy, and for sports fans, they get it, right? They understand.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, if you're a Central Time Zone, yeah.
Yeah, like we are, no doubt. So we'll definitely talk a little football. I guess right off the edge, you get to watch the Super Bowl a little bit?
I did. I watched it. We, and it was a good game.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I loved it. Like I said, Rams say all the way. Like I said, I just missed a bet there, Craig. I missed about $1,300 from cashing in on a buddy of mine, splitting it in half. If Burrow had passed for 12 more yards down the stretch, we would have cashed on a prop bet. Those things happen. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back more with Craig Campbell here on the Backstage Pass. So yours truly, Jeff McMahon. Hang tight. A word from Bangtail Whiskey. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And back here, Jeff McMahon on the Backstage Pass, Brandon Morrell, and of course our guest Craig Campbell today here on a Thursday. Tomorrow, Carly June's going to join us as we wrap up the week, and we're just talking about the latest single, By God, out there across all the digital platforms from Craig. I tell you, another one, Craig, that really hit home with me was definitely one that radio, you turned it on, and back in the days when I DJ country radio, Family Man would come on all the time, and we'd crank it up. We just know it automatically was your voice. Talk about the writing and kind of the backstory of that one, because I thought one of your greats that'll live on forever, no doubt.
Yeah, Family Man was another one of those songs where, I mean, I wrote it whenever I found out I was going to be a daddy for the first time. And, I was barely a husband at that, just not long been married. And so I barely knew how to do that. Still don't really, but so I was at the co-write that day, and I was telling my co-writer about it. And it was just me and Joel at the time, Joel Schumacher. And I was telling him about it, and he's like, well, I got this title called Family Man. And he's like, it's a play on family, comma, man. And then I'm a family man. I said, let's go. I mean, that's where my emotions are right now. And so he had this, I'm a family man, that kind of thing. I said, no, dog, that's not where I hear Family Man going. And so we just kept on, and then all of a sudden he was, and just doing this finger picking thing. And I said, dude, that's Family Man right there. So then we just went at it, and we got about half of it written, and then he took it to John Henderson, and I was supposed to write with him that day. I couldn't make it, but they worked on it, and then we came back and finished it. And yeah, it's just a real song, that buy here, pay here. Mm-hmm. I had just bought a Tahoe, like an old used Tahoe, and I traded my truck in at a buy here, pay here lot. And I never even really paid attention to any of that kind of stuff. But then when I put it in a song, I see buy here, pay here lots everywhere. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's where that song came from.
No doubt. Love that one too. I tell you what, another one that's going to take people by storm, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about it, was one we kind of teased the other day because we were playing it, I guess, up there in Nashville at the CRS event. So people were asking me. I was like, yeah, he's coming on the program next week, and I've got to ask him about Keep Them Kisses Coming, because every time you heard it on the radio, you'd crank it up. And that was a fast rising single, I know, chart-wise for you. And I always love to ask, because that's such a great, just a fun song to tune up in the truck, or just play in the truck. Where'd that one come from?
That was a song that I didn't write, but it was we had a pitch meeting at the office one day, and they came by and they were playing all these songs for us, and I remember very vividly that song getting played. And I remember as soon as I heard the hook at the end of the chorus, I looked at I don't know who I was with, but I looked at him and I shook my head, and because we have it on film, but I was like, that's a hit. I said, I want to record that song. And then, Out of My Head was my first single off of that record. And then one day, Keith Stegall, my producer, came in. He's like, boys, he said, I think we'd be doing a terrible disservice if we didn't put out a up-tempo love song. And he said, Keep Them Kisses Coming is that song, so let's do it. So then we did, and yeah, it was. It got chosen for the iHeart On the Verge. It was the very first On the Verge song, and it changed my life.
Mm-hmm. Yep, fantastic too. Before we play our next one, I want to go back to 2018, because I was listening to Mas Tequila and Upstairs and See You Try and all those good things right there from the See You Try album. I like the fact, again, staying current. Outskirts of Heaven was on there too as well, the acoustic and the regular recorded version. You guys had a lot of fun doing that project, and there were some great songs that ended up on there too, Craig, that I really enjoyed too. Talk to me about the See You Try record, how much fun that was to step in the studio and kind of put your own personal touch on.
Well, once again, man, it was, the record label, I fought them almost every day about putting music out. So actually See You Try is bits and pieces from all the music that I recorded at Broken Bow. I probably have 15 songs that I've recorded at Broken Bow that didn't come out. So, when those songs were recorded, they were not all recorded at once. It was that was over the span of about 3.5, 4 years.
Right.
But Me Missing You, I thought was a smash hit, and I know for a fact it is. See You Try was the single. I knew I wanted to do a stripped down version of Outskirts, so we put that on there. Kids in the South, I think if there's ever a song that could describe how it was for me growing up, that's it, even though I didn't write it. Mas Tequila, it's just a fun song about tequila. And Upstairs, I think was just super sexy. Reminds me of just when me and my wife are trying to get ready and go out, and then here she comes down the hallway smoke show and everything. I'm like, oh, good Lord, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to take you back. I just want to take you back to bed, baby. You know, so that recording those songs was a lot of fun.
Talk about. I'm curious as a musician myself. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on music and the way that musical memory, musical connection. You were just talking about the buying the car and how you never saw them, but when you put it in a song, all of a sudden you see it again. You see it more often. And I know maybe it's as simple as you've also played in a sideman, so you've played a lot of bar songs, but I know there are some of those Stump Craig things where you retain a lot of music. Do you think that there's something to that for you as a musician, or is that just a fun game? I know that a lot of times I'm surprised when I remember things that I know I don't remember the song, and then the band starts playing it and it comes out and I have no idea why I know it.
Yeah, no, I think when I first moved to Nashville, I played piano for a lot of people on Lower Broadway.
Right.
And I think that was one of the reasons why I was able to have and honestly, there weren't very many piano players, so I was able to work. But at the same time, people knew that they could call me, and I could, if I may not know the solos, note for note, but you couldn't call a song that I couldn't get through,
right?
Just because it just structures of songs, chord progressions, especially from 1986 to 1998 when I moved to Nashville. I moved in 2002, but there wasn't a song anybody could call that I couldn't get through. And but it was just one of those things. That's how I remembered songs. I couldn't tell you the words to it, but I could play it.
Right. How do you think that, time playing for other people serves you as an artist? Because a lot of artists can't put themselves in the shoes of one of their band members. You're going to have a complete different understanding having been on both sides of that. Do you think that, how does that affect your artistry and how you work with all that?
Well, I mean, I guess one of the biggest things is I do know what the band guys go through on a daily basis. So I try to make, like when we travel, I try to make sure that everybody's as comfortable as possible. And I always take into consideration how would it affect the band. But as far as just my music is concerned, being able to be a musician, and when you're in the studio, you have ideas, and it's easier to articulate. And if you can't articulate it, I can go in, I can show them.
Right.
And I guess that's one of the plus sides to being a musician, and an artist.
Sure.
I know there's a big, speaking of live shows coming back, saw a bunch there last week in Nashville too. So no stranger to getting the artists back on stage now. It looks like we're kind of getting this waterfall effect that we can just kind of bust through and let it go. You guys have a tour coming up, Craig. Talk about that. You excited to get back on stage and play in front of a lot of country music fans.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Finally get to put out a song, and then also have a tour to back it up. Going to hit the road. Got my real good friend Styles Howry. He's one of my favorites. I've got to know over the last couple of years, and he's signed with Warner Brothers, so I'm excited for what he's got in front of him. But we're gonna have a lot of fun, man. We're gonna get out here. We're gonna kick ass on stage, and then when we're not on stage, we're gonna be writing songs and hanging out. Probably gonna go play a little golf. But yeah, most importantly, man, just being able to get out and play the music and see people's faces and see their teeth. That's pretty important to me, and I'm excited about it.
Last round of golf, what'd you shoot?
Oh man, I shoot probably 105.
Okay, all right, that's better than me. So I haven't played in a while, but I try to stay that 100.
I try to keep the same ball. That's my goal. That's my goal.
Yeah, I wanted to play there last week too. One, didn't have time, and two, it was too cold. So
right.
this week it was a little bit better to be able to do that too with the weather changing. Hey, let's have you play one more, Craig, and we'll come back, do a little sponsor thing, come back, do a little rapid fire, and talk more about the single and just have a good old time. Again, it's Craig Campbell. It's the Backstage Pass, and what are we going to hear for the second tune?
Oh man, let's I didn't think this far ahead, guys.
It's all good.
Here's a new song.
All right.
Brand new. Ain't even been, yeah. It's called That's How We Get Down. It goes like this. In every small town, down every back road, everybody knows where a Friday night goes, where everything they sang about on the radio. We'll get a little wild after that sun sets, pass around a jar till there ain't none left. There's a side to us you may or may not know. We're out in the middle of them fresh turn roads, planting them dreams and watching them grow. Yeah, that's our name in that field of stone. That's our blood in the ground. We're the never gonna give up dust on our jeans. It's who we are, we'll always be. 7 days a week, every night bedside on our knees. Yeah, that's how we get down. There's a little bit more to this way out here than headlights, tailgates, and ice cold beer, and all that talking about kicking back and laying low. But that simple life ain't the kind of simple we know. We're out in the middle of the fresh turn roads, planting them dreams and watching them grow. That's our name in that field of song. That's our blood in the ground. We're never gonna give up dust on our jeans. It's who we are, we'll always be. 7 days a week, every night bedside on our knees. That's how we get down, get back up and do it all again. Yeah, man, that's us. Out in the middle of them fresh turn roads, planting them dreams and watching them grow. That's our name in that field of stone. That's our blood in the ground. We're never gonna give up dust on our jeans. It's who we are, we'll always be. 7 days a week, every night bedside on our knees. That's how we get down. That's how we get down.
Love the sounds. Craig Campbell here on the Backstage Pass, and check it out. CraigCampbell.tv gives you the tour dates there. In fact, this Friday, JD Legends at 7 o'clock in Franklin, Ohio. And this Saturday, live at Dusty Armadillo in Rootstown, Ohio. So you guys hitting the road with the big tour coming up and more. CraigCampbell.tv is the website out there. And, of course, By God is the latest single. We'll take a quick timeout and come back. Jeff, you got a not-so-rapid-fire question, but we'll get to it here a little bit on the Backstage Pass. About 5 or 6 minutes with Craig Campbell left here in the show. Hang tight. Word from Bangtail Whiskey. We'll be right back.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. Describe that too, Jeff. It's like paint on the wall right there. Smooth vocals and paint on the wall. Craig Campbell here on the Backstage Pass. Make it look natural. Picking up the guitar there too. Appreciate you playing that song for us. Hadn't even been released yet. I'm glad you
Nope.
have given us a little sneak peek there, Craig. No doubt. Again, CraigCampbell.tv for the latest tour dates and of course merchandise. And definitely check out By God if you hadn't got it already on the digital platforms. Jeff, I'm gonna do something differently. I'm gonna let you lead off this little not so rapid fire thing. Go ahead.
Well, I was just, he was talking earlier in the interview about family and what a big part of your music. And I know that you kind of involve your family in everything. I think you had kind of a family Christmas show. But I also know that when we started the interview, I was hearing what sounded like a buzzsaw in the background coming from one of us. And I thought maybe one of your girls was working on a renovation project that you are currently involved in with Grindstone, right?
No, what you heard was the Roomba.
Oh, is that what that was?
The Roomba is at work, man.
I was hoping you hadn't kept him at work while you were on the interview.
Yeah, but no, we matter of fact, I left the coffee shop to come here, the Grindstone Cowboy. We put up behind the bar, we put up these big antique mirrors. So they went up today, and my trim guy's still there. We're getting close. We're hoping to have our grand opening in the next 2 months. We have a date in our brain. Mindy's put it out there a couple of times. We're looking at April 30th for our grand opening. So, but yeah, we're excited about it. It's a coffee shop, music venue. It's gonna be fun to have something like that. Well,
and just real quickly, I feel like, when I listen to your music and the songs that we've talked about and the things that you value, I'm kind of curious as to why that what that kind of means to you or why it symbolizes something. I know all the locals at my Waffle House down the street. They all come in by name and a lot of guys that are far beyond me in years, but I still sit down with them and swap stories. And I feel like that's probably part of what attracts you to this, right?
Well, I've always wanted to open a coffee shop, but you hear that dog?
A dog.
Oh, I thought it was the Roomba again. I thought, wow, that's weird.
But yeah, I've always wanted, but I definitely wanted the music part of it because my girls are into music.
Yeah.
Both of them can sing really, really well. And I wanted to have something for them, for that they can call their own. And more than anything, a stage that they can sing on and can play on anytime they want to. They don't have to ask permission. They don't have to get booked. They don't have to do nothing. It's their stage. And if they want to use it to work on their craft, there it is. Go for it. So that means a lot to me to have that and to be able to afford them to have a place to do that. So.
Yeah, I found myself last week enjoying Broadway for the first time in over 15 years. Blake's Place, Old Red, and hopping some different bars down there, watching some shows. What's your favorite thing to do on Broadway, Craig?
Steer clear of it. Man, it's gotten crazy the last couple of years. The couple of times I've been down there, it's 3-level, 4-level bars, and they're all packed. And it's just, you can't go on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday because it's just like Fridays and Saturdays these days, So unless I have something to do, I don't go down there, man. It's just it's chaotic. It truly is turned into a tourist town, and but that's a good thing. I mean, that's what Nashville's all about. So I'm not, they can have it. I'll go visit every now and again.
Yeah. What about favorite restaurant to eat at? I actually enjoyed Martin's Barbecue. Thought it was actually really good. It put some Texas barbecue restaurants to shame as far as the taste and the impact it made once you take a bite. What's your favorite place to eat at there?
I got a couple, man. There's a place called Brick Tops that is pretty awesome all around. You can go in with any kind of appetite. They even serve sushi. But if you're gonna break the bank, there's a place here in Cool Springs called Perry's Steakhouse that I love.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, Nashville is quickly becoming a food town for sure.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of really good restaurants popping up, so you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, I got to go to Franklin and actually Sperry's restaurant. They've been there since 1974, the steakhouse, and that was the best prime rib I ever had. I thought it was fantastic. Of course, for the price, it would have to be good prime rib, but it was still really really good there.
Now there's a difference with Sperry's and Perry's.
And Perry's, okay.
I've never been to Sperry's, but Perry's is a new place in Cool Springs. It's
Cool Springs.
They're famous for that. They got a big pork chop that's stupid good.
And of course, you know, we've probably had some decent barbecue at Mickey Roo's, right?
We did. I saw Rooster the other day. Crazy enough, I ain't seen Rooster in 10 years, and he just pops up. He comes in our coffee shop the other day. It was great.
Yep.
I got to try that next time, no doubt. There's some good, like you said. What was it? Porker, one of the barbecue places.
Peg Leg Porker.
Peg Leg Porker. Yeah, somebody told me try that next time, and just so many good places. I did try one out in a little place called Rock and Roll Sushi. It was actually pretty good. So that was pretty good sushi. But like I said, it's just, you're right. It's tourist town, and definitely those restaurants are good. All right, let me do this one too. Tareen, you've worked with a lot of great people in the industry, but if there's a solo artist or a band that you have not worked with for collaboration, and I guess it could be this new wave of artists we talked about that are coming through now. If there's one in particular, a band you say, man, I'd like to sit down for a co-write or record a song with, who would it be, Craig?
All of them. No, I want to get on everybody's record. You know, I'm a big fan of Styles. I'm a big fan of a guy named Trey Landon. A big fan of Ashley. Man, it's just Dylan Marlowe. I ran into Cameron Marlowe today.
Oh yeah,
and we did a show last week at Bar Lines at Sarah's. I think he's got one of the best, biggest voices. I think he'd be fun to collaborate with. Jimmy Allen, big fan of his. So I mean, there's a ton. They're all good, man.
It's no doubt the talent's there. Well, I tell you what, by God's out there across all the digital platforms, and definitely the tour kicks off this weekend. And of course, check out CraigCampbell.tv for the latest tour schedules and merchandise. Craig, we appreciate the time as always, my friend. Always a great chat with you. Good to catch up, and hey, continued success going forward, my friend.
Right on, man. Pleasure to hang out with you guys too. Appreciate y'all having me on.
Good to see you, man.
Great. Craig Campbell here tomorrow. Carly June wraps up the week. Thanks to the sponsors. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 Central, same time on the Backstage Pass. Until then, have a great night.